Hey, everybody, I'm Ben Dorr, Executive Director for Minnesota Right to Life, and I have a very important update for anybody who is pro life, who loves the fact that Roe versus Wade just came tumbling down, and who lives in Senate District 5. I'm talking about the Park Rapids area and south. If that's where you live, if you love the unborn, if you want to protect life, you need to know about the Republican primary that's coming up on August 9th, very, very soon. You have a three-way primary in Senate District 5, and I want to make sure you have all of the details about the candidates who are running. So tune in, guys. Share this video with everybody you know who's pro-life in Senate District 5. They need to know. I'm going to jump right into this. The first candidate we're going to talk about right now is Brett Bussman. We sent a Minnesota Right to Life candidate survey to Brett and asked him a series of questions on what he would do if he becomes the next senator from Senate District 5. He filled it out 100% pro-life. And a couple of the main questions we asked him that you guys need to know about is, do you support life at conception legislation? It is exactly what it sounds like. It determines that life does begin at the moment of conception, as science proves, as the Bible proves, and as we all know, that's when life begins, not when a baby exits the womb. But at that moment, we know. And so would he support life at conception legislation? He said, absolutely, yes, I will. The next question we asked Brett Bussman was, will you support defunding Planned Parenthood? He said, absolutely. Yes, I will vote to defund Planned Parenthood. I will sponsor legislation to help make that happen. The left, the radical left and the media, they like to sit here and say, oh, Planned Parenthood, all they do is help poor women in need. No, they're the biggest abortionists and baby killers in the entire country. And they don't need our tax dollars. They're simply taking our tax money, using it to perform abortions, and taking more of that tax money and funneling it into the pockets of radical left Democrats running for office and pro-aborts across the country to help dismantle pro-life America. So Brett Bussman said, I will absolutely vote against funding for Planned Parenthood. Very good news. We asked him a couple more questions about would he would he fight on a procedural level in the Senate to push the issue of life? And he answered yes, 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 across the board on all of those questions. So if you see Brett Bussman, thank him for being 100% pro-life. Thank him for having the courage of his conviction to put his name on paper and say, this is what I believe, and this is what I'm going to fight for if I become the senator from Senate District 5. So thank Brett Bussman for that. The next candidate we want to talk about is Dale Anderson. So Dale Anderson also filled out his Minnesota Right to Life candidate questionnaire, 100% pro-life. He's promised to take a hard stance on the issues of life. So if you see Dale, be sure to thank him for filling out his Minnesota Right to Life candidate questionnaire as well. And the last candidate we want to talk about, and this is an unpleasant part of the video, but it's absolutely necessary that the voters know what Senator Paul Utke has done in his time in office. So strap in for this, guys. If he is your senator, or if you live in Senate District 5, he wants to go back to St. Paul for the 2023 legislative session and for the next 4 years. And you need to know what Paul Utke has done. So I'm going to jump right into this. I've known Paul since he ran for office in 2016. That's when Paul Utke won his first election. He's been in the Senate ever since. So 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. This is the 7th legislative session that Paul Utke has had in his time in the Minnesota Senate. And here's the bad news, and here is the absolute truth. Paul Utke voted to fund abortion in Minnesota with your tax dollars, with my tax dollars. He voted on May 25, 2017 for Senate File 2. He voted on May 24, 2019, so 2 years later, for Senate File 12. And just in 2021, he voted on June 26, 2021 for House File 33. Now, these bills, I want to lay this out for you. You deserve the truth. You deserve the facts. So these bills were all Health and Human Services Omnibus bills, right? So every 2 years in St. Paul, we have our budget year. So we pass Minnesota's state budget for the next 2 years. So it happened, the first vote was in 2017. That funded Minnesota from 2017 to 2018. And then he voted in 2019, 2019, 2020. You get it. And so this is the HHS, the Health and Human Services Omnibus Bill. And what this bill does, it does a lot of different things because it's an omnibus bill, right? So you take all of these different concepts, all these different bills, you throw them together in one giant bill, and this becomes the HHS Omnibus Bill. And what it does in part is it funds two different insurance programs, medical care programs in Minnesota. The first one is Minnesota Care, okay? And the second one is called medical assistance. And in 2017, Senate File 2, which Paul Utke voted for on May 25, 2017, this bill funded Minnesota Care, which actually had weak prohibitors in the bill that said that the taxpayer funds shall not be used in the Minnesota Care to fund abortion. But what was not in the bill, what should have been in the bill, was a prohibition on the medical assistance money. It's called Medicaid in Minnesota. Medicaid, the medical assistance program. That fund is being used by Planned Parenthood to perform abortions free of charge for different women who walk in the door wanting to get an abortion. It's funded with your tax dollars, and Paul Utke voted yes. And for anybody who doesn't know, every single year in Minnesota, 10,000 babies are murdered. 10,000. So the bill that Paul Utke voted for in 2017, Senate File 2, it killed 10,000 babies in 2017, and it killed 10,000 more babies in 2018. So that vote cost the lives of 20,000 babies. Fast forward to 2019. Here it is, the exact same story, the HHS bill. And you can see the votes on your screen. You can see the 2017 vote right here. You can see the name of the bill right on top. You can see the arrow pointing at his name, Paul Utke, a yes vote. You can see it in 2019. Here it is, Utke, yes, yes vote. There are no prohibitors in this, in any of these bills that forbid medical assistance, Medicaid money from being used to perform abortions. Paul Utke knows this, but he voted for it anyway. He voted for it anyway. And there are other organizations and the media and other politicians will sit there and say, Minnesota Right to Life, they're liars. They're con men. They're not telling the truth. No, Minnesota Right to Life is the only organization in the state of Minnesota that is willing to tell you the truth about where the abortion funding is coming from. And it's coming from these health and human services bills, but it gets worse than that. In 2021, so between the 2017 bill and the 2019 bill, roughly 40,000 babies lost their lives in the state of Minnesota via abortion, torn apart and killed. And they used our tax dollars to do it. But in 2021, it gets worse. House File 33, it passed on June 26. Once again, Paul Utke was a yes vote on that bill. But what's even worse than that is, and I want you to hear this, the description of the bill is, and this is, I'm quoting now, the Omnibus Health and Human Services Finance and Policy Bill. Okay? The Omnibus Health and Human Services Finance and Policy Bill. Would you like to know who became the chairman of the Health and Human Services Finance and Policy Committee in the Senate. You want to know who helped create this bill and whose committee it passed through? Yeah, Paul Utke. Paul Utke is the chairman of the Health and Human Services Finance and Policy Committee in the Minnesota Senate. So he voted for it. He voted for it 3 times on 3 different occasions. And then when the bill had to go through his committee, and no bill passes through any committee without the approval of the chairman. And Paul Utke is that chairman. And that's the truth. 60,000 babies have lost or will lose their lives because of those votes. In 2021, the year that bill was passed, 10,136 babies were killed in Minnesota via abortion. 10,136. You can see it on your screen. And Paul Utke sits there and pretends it's not happening. Other organizations, so-called pro-life organizations, sit there and pretend it's not happening. And they give out endorsements to some of these politicians, pro-life endorsements, knowing full well that they're passing this abortion funding and they're using my tax dollars to do it. They're using your tax dollars to do it. So if you see Senator Paul Utke, tell him to apologize and repent for a short political career spent voting to fund abortion. Again, May 25, 2017, Senate File 2. May 24, 2019, Senate File 12. June 26, 2021, House File 33, the Health and Human Services Omnibus Bills that have no prohibitions on this money being used to fund abortion. And you can see on Planned Parenthood's own website that they accept medical assistance funds to perform abortions for free. And Paul Utke passes these bills and votes for these bills knowing full well that babies are going to die because of it. But hey, you know what? It's politics, right? They're just babies. They're just lives. They're just human beings created in the image of God. Who cares, right? You know, I've known Paul for some time. Like I told you at the beginning of this video, he's a really nice guy. If you've ever met him, he's a really friendly fellow. You know, he's not one of those Nancy Pelosi lizard creatures. He just comes off like a normal Minnesota guy. But when he made it down to St. Paul, he didn't have the fortitude. He didn't have the courage of his conviction. He didn't have what it took to vote no on these bills when he should have. When the babies were counting on him, Paul Utke did nothing. So if you see Paul Utke, tell him to apologize for his votes. Tell him that he needs to stand up for those babies if he makes it back to St. Paul. Tell him that he should repent of what he's done because what he did was wrong. And after that, guys, do us a favor, share this video again with everybody in Senate District 5 from the Park Rapids area down south. Tell them to listen to it. Tell them to get all the facts, all the truth. And when you guys go out to vote on August 9th, vote pro-life. Let's turn this state around. Let's make it a sanctuary for life. Let's save these babies' lives. Stop funding their death. Stop sitting by while they continue to do this stuff. Let's turn it around. Save these babies, guys. God bless you. And share this video.